In this video, we're taking an unforgettable 2.5-day road trip along Minnesota's wild and scenic North Shore. We'll explore iconic sites and hidden gems along this 150-mile route with dramatic waterfalls, peaceful forest trails, and the kind of beaches that make you want to sit and stay a while. Trust me, by the end of this trip, you'll have fallen in love with the magic of the North Shore like we did. Let's jump in, and you can purchase an ebook with all these spots on a map in the description. We started this road trip at the end of our South Dakota road trip, and we took a drive across the state to the city of Duluth.
We made it to Duluth, Minnesota, and we're starting the road trip tomorrow, but we're going to check out a few things tonight.
Having seen the ads many times during football games, we decided we should stop by Duluth Trading Company. While the headquarters is now in Wisconsin, it was started in Duluth, so it was fun to see a store here.
Duluth Trading Company got us. We became marketers for them with our $15 hats, heading on to get something to eat.
Even though we didn't have a lot of time to explore, we headed to Lake Superior Brewing Company for some beer and pizza.
Well, that's outstanding. Something I recently discovered is hot honey on pizza, and this is fabulous with the hot honey. Outstanding.
That was a great spot for dinner. We're going back to check into the hotel.
Our hotel was on Minnesota Point, a miles-long spit that's often referred to as Park Point by locals. On the way out, you can see the famous Aerial Bridge, which was built in 1905 and is a vertical lift bridge. We grabbed a hotel on the spit called Park Point Marina Inn, and it would have been an awesome place to spend a couple of days.
This is an awesome hotel for kids. Look at that playground area. My kids would love that.
From there, we just hung out a little bit, watched the sun go down, and watched the boats going through Superior Bay. Starting our first full day on the North Shore, we grabbed breakfast at our hotel, crossed the Aerial Bridge, and then went to Duluth Coffee Company to grab something to drink before heading back to Canal Park to explore a little bit. Canal Park is a great tourist spot in Duluth that has lots of great restaurants and lots of souvenir shops. Plus, it has a lake walk with amazing views, which is my favorite part.
It's not a great day to start our journey. It's incredibly windy, but that's just the way it is up here sometimes. The weather's a little unpredictable. We're gonna make the most of it. And that right there is the westernmost point on Lake Superior.
If you walk the waterfront, be sure to look at Uncle Harvey's mausoleum, which has a lot of interesting stories about why it was created, and then consider walking all the way out to Duluth North Pier Lighthouse. You can also get great views of the Aerial Lift Bridge on the way out. The lighthouse was constructed in 1910, and it's incredibly cool to see, but hopefully it's not as windy for you.
They're almost getting blown away out here. It's brutal.
We spent about 30 minutes out here fighting the wind and taking in all the stunning views of the lakeshore while we were trying to wait for a boat to come in so we could see the bridge go up.
The ship's schedule keeps changing. It said 7:50, which is why we're here, and then it said 8:30, and now it says back to 7:15. I guess we're gonna have to skip it. I don't know when the ship is coming.
Trying to plan to see the bridge lift for a big boat was unfortunately unsuccessful for us, but hopefully it works for you if you go. From there, we started our North Shore road trip with the end goal for the day being to get to the town of Lutsen. But of course, you know us, we're gonna stop at like 50 places along the way. First up, we stopped at Russ Kendall's Smokehouse to get some sugar-cured salmon for the road.
If you like smoked fish, that's the place to go. They have a lot of different options.
And then we drove past it to visit our first of the many beaches we would see today, Rock Beach.
The one positive about this horrible wind is that it's Memorial Day weekend and there's nobody out here with us. It's just us.
Pretty little island though.
The one thing you'll notice about our time on the North Shore is that there's many amazing beaches and there's many amazing waterfalls. You'll see a lot of those today.
Next up, we're at the icon of the Minnesota North Shore, Pierre the Pantless Voyager. Pops is going for his photo op in the boat with Pierre. Pops had a little bit of Pierre history.
Pierre was built back in the 60s to get somebody to go to a hotel, not this one, a different one. And they're not sure whether he is actually made to be pantless or just painted that way, but he is the lone pantless Voyager in this area.
From Pierre, the road took us to Two Harbors, which is famous for the Two Harbors Lighthouse Museum. When you arrive, be sure to look across the bay to the massive ore docks. These are 1,300 feet long and 7 stories tall, and they're over 100 years old, and 2 of them are still in operational use today. When we arrived at the lighthouse, there was a big sign that said it was closed, so we just wandered around to take in different views of it. There is a really nice trail that goes along the water that you can take here. Luckily, when we got back 15 minutes later, it was actually opened, and they told us this was the first day of the season that it was open, so we got lucky. And from there, we were able to explore the small property and go up as high as we could in the lighthouse.
We made it to the top. You can't climb the ladder. It says danger, high voltage, but you can look in the old lighthouse.
We were the only people at the lighthouse when we toured it, and there's a lot of information that you can read on the different plaques on the walls, plus it's just a fun historic place to climb up to the top of. There's also a keeper's house you can explore on the property, and there's a pilot house for a boat, which was situated right on the edge, and it was pretty cool to look through the windows and experience the crazy sea which was raging in front of us.
So this is actually the pilot house from a ship that wrecked. You can see it right there, and then it was moved to this location so you could explore it. There's another picture of the wreck with the pilot house right there.
The first lighting of this lighthouse was in 1892.
Really cool to see that historic lighthouse, and it's actually a bed and breakfast now, so you can stay there if you want to, but we're heading on to get some pie.
Betty's Pies is basically a Minnesota institution, and it started in the late 1950s. I mean, can you even say you've driven the North Shore of Minnesota if you haven't stopped at Betty's? We did it both ways on our road trip. We actually got there right when they opened, which is why there's nobody in these shots, but most of the time this is a pretty busy spot.
Nothing like starting your day with smoked fish and pie. We got the Great Lakes Crunch, we got the chocolate banana, and we got the strawberry rhubarb.
I never really thought about putting raspberries and rhubarb together, but it really works because raspberries have a little bit of the tartness too. It's really nice. Look at that crust. That's how you tell good pie. Is that crust.
Nice flaky crust.
Yeah.
If you come through when it's busy, they have a takeout window so you can just grab a slice of pie and keep going.
Heading on, we passed through the 1,300-foot Silver Creek Cliff Tunnel. This tunnel was built in the 1990s to go around a particularly dangerous section of road, and right when you pass the tunnel, there's a parking lot if you want to park and then walk out on said road.
They even have a selfie station up here for you if you want to take a picture. So what I'm walking on right now is the original highway before they installed the tunnel.
This was a fun spot with some great views of Lake Superior, and I would have liked to have walked the entire road back to the other side of the tunnel, but unfortunately it wasn't a great day.
That was a really cool overlook. I liked that one. Plus it was fun to be able to walk on the original road.
From there, we crossed a few more tunnels before arriving at Gooseberry Falls State Park.
Next up, we're heading out to Gooseberry Falls, which is probably one of the top stops along the North Shore.
Gooseberry Falls State Park has a great visitor center with lots of different exhibits that talk about the area and about the Civilian Conservation Corps and how they designed some of it.
So here we are right along the river, and then both of the waterfalls are right here next to the road basically.
Just like you like it, the falls are 2 to 5 minutes walk ahead.
Nice.
There is an accessible path to get down to Lower and Middle Falls, and there's stairs.
Oh my gosh, look at how it's rushing down there. It's crazy.
Wow, that is an epic waterfall. It is flowing like crazy right now.
I believe this is the aptly named Middle Falls, and the one below it is Lower Falls.
This is a cool state park. They just have these breaks and you can walk right out to the falls up close.
I'm used to state parks having official trails and having everything else closed to the public, and so it's pretty crazy to be able to just walk out on these different sections and get up close to these waterfalls.
Man, both those waterfalls are incredible. Now we're heading up to the upper one.
From the bottom one, it was about a 7-minute walk up a bunch of stairs to get to the upper falls. You also got to go under a cool bridge that the main road crossed over.
This is the highway we're driving on right above us.
I think this has got to be one of the most impressive sets of 3 waterfalls I've ever seen.
Upper Falls was well worth the hike, and it had an impressive flow when we were there.
Hey guys, look at how close Pops is to the edge. Oh, right when I said that, he moved back. He was actually pretty close to the edge. I was surprised. That was an incredible stop. They're very easy to get to, and each of the waterfalls, at least during this season, were massive.
Before leaving, head up to the road and see this area that was known as the Castle and also called the Wall. It was built in the 1930s by the Civilian Conservation Corps as a parking area and a scenic overlook, and it's cool to see the history here even though you can no longer park here. Getting back in the car, we headed forward to one of the most unique beaches on the drive, Iona's Beach. This is also where I apparently pushed Pops to say this.
Can I advertise on your YouTube channel for being a co-host to somebody else?
Yeah. You want to skip? You want to go to a different channel?
Yeah, yeah.
This might have been the exact moment that the idea for his YouTube channel was born. This beach is about 300 yards long and it's known for its pink-colored rocks. Plus, when the waves crash on them, they're supposed to make a singing sound, but unfortunately we couldn't hear that with the crazy wind.
Wow, that beach was so windy we could barely stand, but it was pretty cool.
On the way back down, we actually visited this beach again and there was no wind and it was much more gentle.
We're back here again because it was 40-mile-an-hour winds the first time we were here to see the singing rocks at the beach, but now it's so gentle that I can't hear them singing now either, so 0 for 2.
We will rock you.
Singing rocks.
I heard it.
Pops, pick your best rock. Let's have a skipping contest. All right, one rock, one chance.
What's up?
You're up first. That was about 3.
About 6.
That was
1,
about
2, there was
3.
3 at the end.
How do you get 3 at the end? 3 at the end.
There was no 3 at the end. You can tell who the winner is. Just say it in the comments at the end. Everybody knows who won that one.
Next up, it was a little ways down the road to one of the most iconic spots on the North Shore, the Split Rock Lighthouse. The first thing you'll notice when you go into the large museum is the 1-to-1 replica they have of the lighthouse lens.
Here's how a lighthouse works to scatter the light out to sea, with just a small candle or light. Here's all the different lighthouses that are around Lake Superior. We're over on this side.
The museum here is incredible with so much to read and understand about the ships that cross this massive lake. Once you're done, you can walk outside, and assuming the lighthouse is open on the day you're there, you can actually climb all the way to the top.
You gonna climb the lighthouse, Pops?
Yeah.
The things Pops decides to do and not do never cease to surprise me. I was surprised how open it was at the top and that you could walk all the way up and see the light revolving above you.
This is a pretty cool lighthouse, right?
Really cool, yeah.
We took our time on the way down as there are a few different windows you can look out to see amazing views of the lakeshore. When you make it back down, there's a few different buildings you can explore, with the first being the one that houses the fog signal.
So Duluth is actually the most inland point you can get to in the entire world from an ocean. And you can see how far you can go to get all the way out to the ocean.
On the other side of the lighthouse, there's also a keeper's house that you can walk into and explore.
It's cool to see how well preserved this old keeper's house is, and you can actually walk into most of the rooms pretty far, which is also unique.
While we were in the house, the electricity actually went out from the windstorm, so we headed back to the visitor center.
The gales of November, more like the gales of May.
They gave us a map at the visitor center of some of the best photography spots for the lighthouse, and so we set out to find one of them.
We made it down to the Pebble Beach area of the state park because we want to get this view looking back at the lighthouse over the water. Note that both of these have their own fees though. They're $15 each if you want to get to the lighthouse and if you want to get here. The lighthouse is definitely far away from here. You need a zoom lens, but you can get some pretty cool pictures if you have one.
This area is called Little Two Harbors Bay. And in the early 1900s to the 1920s, fishermen would come in here with big nets, and they said they'd pull out as much as a ton of fish a day.
On the way back down a few days later, we decided to visit again when the sun was out, and we walked the Pebble Beach path for about 1/4 of a mile to get a closer view of the lighthouse.
Pop's getting that time-lapse action.
It was well worth it to see it again in this light.
If you want another view of the lighthouse, there's also a wayside, which is just a little bit south. And from here, you can see it right there. If you're driving this route, be sure to look out for the waysides, as you'll see that many of the waysides actually lead to something pretty impressive. This is the Beaver Bay wayside, and there's actually a little overlook over here for a small waterfall. After parking, you can walk out onto the bridge and you can get amazing views of Beaver River Falls, which is about a 300-foot cascading waterfall. If you're feeling adventurous, you can also follow a well-worn but probably not official path that'll take you down closer to the water and a closer view of the falls. What's so cool about this one is that we had no expectations coming here. We just pulled off to use the bathroom and heard a waterfall and then went to explore and found this.
That is an insane waterfall, but be careful, it's slippery and steep getting down there.
We're in Silver Bay. It was famous for iron ore. The iron ore ran out. They discovered this substance called taconite, and that you could pull iron out of that in the form of these little beads. And to kind of commemorate that, they came up with Rocky Taconite. And he kind of looks like iron ore beads there a little bit.
All right, Pops, do your best Rocky Taconite impression and I'm gonna do mine.
Oh, you want me to copy him?
I don't know what he sounds like, so. All right, there's Pops.
Okay, here's the B-level version.
Who did it better? You decide.
This is easy.
Or neither.
This is easy.
From there, our journey continued with us looking for another amazing beach along the North Shore that people love called Black Beach.
Beautiful beach. I don't really see any black sand, so let me know if maybe I'm in the wrong place or if the water level is too high with how crazy it is from the storms, but still a pretty epic spot.
All right, round two. We went a little bit further up the road. I think that was Black Beach Park, and this is Black Beach. So let's see if the sand's black here.
Luckily, the second time was the charm, and we did end up on Black Sand Beach. This is located near Silver Bay, and like we talked about before with that mineral taconite, that's actually why the beach was black.
There you go, there's the black sand. That's cool.
Basically, the iron waste product from mining is what's washed up on the shore here over the years and created the black color.
Once again, it was just Pops and I at Black Beach. That was very, very cool and very, very cold.
Very cold is right.
Heading on, our next stop brought us to one of my favorite places that we saw during our entire trip, Palisade Head. To get up to this viewpoint, it's a windy one-lane road, so be sure to take it slow and watch for other cars. Also, there's a small parking lot at the top that can often be full. The viewpoint here is stunning with sheer cliffs that fall directly to the water and rocks below. This is also a popular spot for rock climbing with a few different routes that go up the cliffs.
This is probably the coolest viewpoint we've been to yet, but also the most crazy with the wind, so can't get too close to the edge to take it all in. Still pretty epic.
Next up is Shovel Point, and we actually skipped this on the way up, but we wanted to do it on the way back because it's supposed to have some of the best views on the North Shore. This hike is about 2 miles round trip, and it's in Tedagooch State Park.
There's over 300 stairs on this hike.
Even with the elevation gain and some of the mud from the rain, this trail is gorgeous right from the first step. It follows along the sheer cliffs, and even though it's pretty wooded, it does give you some breaks with some great views out over the water. Once you reach the top of the stairs section and you get to the first overlook, you'll see why you wanted to do this hike. The views back along the lakeshore towards Palisade Head are jaw-dropping.
This trail has easily the best lake views we've seen the entire time.
The 4 overlooks hug the cliff face and they give you different views of Lake Superior as you continue on. As you go around the last bend, you'll arrive at Shovel Point with its staircase leading down to the view. Luckily, the sun came out right as we were arriving to this point, and we were greeted with some of those famous views that the North Shore is known for. I had to include this amazing hike in the video, and now back to our road trip.
Here we are at the wayside parking for Caribou Falls. We're gonna go out on the trail.
Basically, anytime I saw a sign that said waterfall, I had to pull off. Pop sat this one out, and I set out on the 1 mile round trip hike to the falls.
Pop stayed in the car for this one, which is probably good. It's a lot steeper than I anticipated, but I'm almost to the waterfall. I don't know where I went wrong, but I'm above the waterfall and I can't see it. It's down there. I gotta see if there was a cutoff I missed on the way back. All right, so I missed this junction and there's a pointing sign that says falls, so I guess I gotta go that way.
Once I found the small sign, I was able to walk down an elevated boardwalk with about 150 stairs or so that took me down to the base of the falls.
You can see how high the water level is right now, as you can't even walk down the stairs right there.
This is about a 50-foot tall waterfall, and like the others we saw, the water was just raging through it.
That's a great waterfall this time of year. Make sure you know where you're going though, and it's definitely one of the steeper hikes we've done today.
Once I made it back, we headed on to another wayside, and like I said, you can't even imagine how many waterfalls there are along the North Shore. They're everywhere.
This is one of the easiest waterfalls we've seen yet. You just walk out on this bridge and boom! Beautiful waterfall. Another rushing waterfall, that's amazing. Yeah.
This is called Cross River Falls, and I can't find any information online about how tall it is, but I have to say it's probably at least 100 feet tall. Right across the street from the waterfall is a historic point of interest dedicated to Father Baraka. Just a short version of the story, he ministered to a lot of the different Native American tribes in the area, and when he heard about a possible epidemic, he set out to investigate with a local guide and was shipwrecked during a horrible storm. Grateful their lives were spared, he erected a wooden cross here, which has been replaced by a granite one.
All right, we got only one more waterfall overlook. We're gonna get something to eat, and we're going to the hotel. This has been an amazing day, but man, that weather has been challenging.
It is freezing.
Yeah. Last stop of the day, we're hiking to Temperance River State Park.
This is so cool. When you turn around yourself, you're gonna be shocked. It is so cool.
Whoa, look at that gorge. It's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Check it out, the water flows right underneath the bridge, and then it flows out to the ocean. And you got brown waves and white waves from all of the minerals and stuff. All right, Pops, are you ready to get something to eat?
Yeah, I am hungry. I'm ready.
We haven't eaten since 6 a.m.
This is definitely a beautiful spot. Take the quarter-mile loop that goes back around the bridge to where you parked. For our late lunch/dinner, we decided to go to Coho Cafe Bakery and Deli. This was a quaint stop with all sorts of amazing looking cakes and pastries, and we decided to go with a pizza. Well, I mean, we were hungry, so of course we got some pastries first as well.
It's something with mushrooms, and it's gonna be really good because we're hungry.
And some kind of sausage. Some kind of sausage. Rice sausage, they call it.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% in. This is... Excellent spot for dinner. All that's left is to check into our hotel in the town of Lutsen.
You may be wondering why I selected the tiny town of Lutsen for our overnight. Well, the reason is because it was Memorial Day weekend and I waited too long to book, and this was literally the only hotel that was still available. That being said, the Mountain Inn was a great choice, and I will leave a link to it in the description.
We finally made it to our hotel after a 12-hour day. That was only an hour and a half of driving. Lots of fun places to explore. We'll see you tomorrow as we finish the drive up to Canada. Starting day 2 of the North Shore Drive on what looks to be a much nicer day. I'm excited.
There's not really any breakfast spots around, so we left Lutsen and decided to do a couple stops before having breakfast.
Starting out on our first trail of the day, a 500-foot walk to Cascade Falls.
Cascade Falls is located in Cascade River State Park, and it's a beautiful waterfall that's a pretty easy hike just on some dirt steps. It's probably only about 15 feet tall, but it had a really impressive flow when we were there.
Check out that cool gnarled tree right there.
The short hike is a loop and you get to walk along the Cascade River back to the parking pullout. Leaving here, we set our sights on Grand Marais, one of the biggest towns on the North Shore, and our spot for breakfast.
It's a massive line at the World's Best Donuts, as you would assume for the world's best, but Pops is waiting in line and I'm gonna walk out to that lighthouse.
After dropping Pops off, I headed out to the end of the road near Grand Marais Harbor and started the walk past Artist Point to the lighthouse.
This is a beautiful morning to be out. Not too high of waves, a little bit of sun. This is awesome.
This is a great spot for an early morning stroll as you go along a concrete walkway that goes past the breakwater out towards the lighthouse. In total, it's about a mile round trip to walk. It felt a lot more adventurous than I anticipated going out on the concrete walkway, and I really enjoyed it.
It seems like the tide may be coming up, so I'm gonna get out of here pretty quickly.
This small lighthouse was built in 1922 and it's actually still operational.
It looks like you can climb the stairs, but it's closed up there.
There were a decent amount of people out there with me, and they told me this is a popular spot for walks for locals and for tourists alike.
What a cool little morning walk. Let's see if Pops has made it to the front of the donuts line.
Here's some footage Pops took of waiting in line at World's Best Donuts, which was created in 1969 and is family owned and operated. They have all sorts of crazy stuff here, including donut kebabs, and I probably should have brought myself a shirt.
Have you ever seen a better place to have donuts than this? So apparently I need to go hiking more often because this is the amount of donuts that Pops shows up with if I go hiking. I would have got one. What did you get for us, Pops?
Go big, go home. This is Bavarian cream filled, maple bacon, the kebab. The thing they said you had to get was the cake donut. So this cinnamon sugar, this is glazed. I've never seen this before. This is a donut that's filled with banana cream and chocolate. And this is something that's really unusual that they have. It's called the skizzle. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but here we go. We can try them all.
Hopefully they live up to their name, World's Best Donuts, if we have this many to try.
Pops and I were very impressed, and we probably liked the cake donuts best.
Alright, well, there's the damage we did on those donuts.
Pretty good, not bad.
Also, you would think I was a professional and I would have pointed the camera that way, which was a much better view for the time lapse, but I'm still learning. On to the next spot.
We both really liked Grand Marais, and it's one of those places I would love to come back and spend a day or two in. It seems like a fun city with lots of different restaurants, souvenir shops, and lots of little hikes and walks you can do. If you've spent some time there, let me know if you have a favorite spot in the comments.
Pops didn't grab coffee at the donut shop, so we're over at Java Moose to grab some espresso.
We liked Java Moose so much we stopped at it on the way back and grabbed some beans to take with us. So if you're looking for coffee, this is a good spot. On the way back down, we also stopped at Voyager Brewing Company, which is another great spot in the city. Here you can try some of the beer that they make, or you can have some high-class pub food. From Grand Marais, it was about a 15-minute drive to our next stop.
You're heading out to the Devil's Kettle. Expect 200 steps and 2 miles round trip.
We're only doing 2 hikes today, but this is our major one, the 2-mile trail. The other one's only a 1-mile trail. This one heads out to Devil's Kettle, which is a unique waterfall that has 2 different flows, or it might just have one with how crazy all the water's been so far. It's so nice to have a day like today after yesterday when it was brutally cold and windy. It's sunny, we're walking along a stream. This is pretty hard to beat. I feel like this is how the North Shore should be.
Here's the start of the stairs as we get closer to the falls. Just note there's a lot of stairs down, so a lot back up.
There is a decent amount of elevation gain on this trail, most of it with the stairs, but once you reach the bottom of the stairs, you'll see the first waterfall, and then you'll climb more stairs to get up to the main viewing platform.
You ready for all those stairs back up?
That's a lot of stairs, it really is.
It's a muddy trail right now. So normally there's a split, and so the water flows in there and comes out. But you can't even see the split because there's so much water right now.
Devil's Kettle is a unique waterfall because when it's not flowing like this, one side actually flows into a hole and they're not sure where the water comes out. They've dropped all sorts of things like GPS devices, ping pong balls, and they never see it resurface on the other side.
Check out this tree just growing off the side of the cliff above this huge canyon. I like that tree almost as much as I like the waterfall. I keep taking pictures of it. Man, the North Shore definitely has my heart. All of these waterfalls, the crazy views of Lake Superior. This is an awesome place to be.
Yeah, and we got here at a perfect time. We were talking to some locals who said they got a ton of rain here in the spring. And so you get these incredibly powerful, dynamic waterfalls. So we got here at a good time.
All right, I'm putting this away because we got to go up 200 stairs and go through the mud. Pops is counting all of the steps to give you an official tally at the top. All right, here comes the official, unofficial amount.
192, and that agrees with the couple down there.
Well,
so
this
down to 192 going down.
This says 179, so you know.
That is wrong.
Basically across the street from the Devil's Kettle trailhead is the historic Nanabujoo Lodge. It's a stunning lodge and I would love to spend the night there, but even if you can't, be sure to go in and see the dining hall.
Yeah, it's interesting. This was originally painted by a fellow named Antoine Gouffy, a French artist, and he was trying to do Cree-Indian designs. And if you look up here, it almost gives you the feeling of a canoe, the shape of a canoe, the way it's laid out.
We both decided that we needed to come back in the future and stay here.
We're about 5 minutes up the road in what I think is called Hoveland, and they have an old dock here that we wanted to see.
Supposedly this is one of the last remaining vintage commercial docks from the early 1900s. It's basically just crumbling into the sea in what was once a thriving town, but it's cool to see here, and the bell that sits at the end was supposedly rang when the boats came in. From there, it was about a 20-minute drive to Grand Portage.
So poor planning on my part. I thought Grand Portage was a big town, which it definitely is not. So the only place that has food in this town is the Casino Lodge. We'll see how it is. Maybe we can win some money to pay for our lunch. Well, I mean, it does have a pretty nice view.
I got a burger with fried green beans. Pop's got a chef salad. It's the first time I've seen him eat a vegetable this entire trip.
I always eat healthy. I don't know what this talk is about.
I have vegetables too.
Yeah, they're fried.
Is it really healthy if you empty the entire 2 dressings on and try to pull it off with your knife?
Don't try to justify your choice by criticizing mine.
Not a bad stop for lunch. Can't complain. Heading on to a couple more stops before we're done with our road trip.
The main stop in Grand Portage is the National Monument, which has both a heritage center and a replica of a historic fur trading depot. This area was of vital importance to the Anishinaabe people, and you can read a lot more about that at the Heritage Center. The Heritage Center is a great place to start your exploration of this unique part of history, and then from there you're going to want to walk down to the fur trading depot.
This, one of the Dawson signs back here says that Lake Superior is the largest freshwater lake in the world by surface area.
This area became of vital importance in the late 1700s. It was basically the main access point to the rich fur-bearing areas of the Northwest Territories, and to some of the more remote interior outposts like Fort Charlotte. Adventurers would gather their furs and then take them by canoe to Fort Charlotte, and then from there they would portage it to Grand Portage, where they had access to an international market of merchants who were interested in buying their furs and taking them on to Montreal and to other parts of the world.
Summer headquarters for a global enterprise, and we are right here walking in.
We were lucky enough to be there on the weekend when all of the buildings were open and we could walk around and explore as much as we'd like, with lots of different docents to tell us about what we were looking at. All this was designed for the fur business, and at one point in time this was the largest fur business in the entire world.
Pops is wearing some fur right there. How's it feel?
It feels warm. I think I'm gonna take it with me. It's chilly outside.
You wouldn't fit in this world.
It's pretty amazing to see how massive this operation was hundreds of years ago.
I had no idea what to expect when I came here, and this is an incredibly cool find. So much unique history. Docents talking about everything. Wow, this is somewhere you're gonna want to spend a couple hours.
It's fascinating that this place brought in goods from all around the world, and actually coffee from Ethiopia, where coffee was kind of first described or used in 1790s. It's amazing. I didn't realize coffee had been here so long.
Canoes were the equivalent of long-haul trucks in the 1790s. They could haul nearly 4 tons. That was a fantastic stop, and I would say the highlight is definitely the docents, who are so knowledgeable, can answer any question you have. And now we're heading on, and we have one more stop before we end the road trip. Our last stop before getting to Canada is actually a waterfall, but we definitely wanted to tell you to stop at Susie Island's overlook as well. This is one of the best overlooks on the North Shore Drive, and the views are incredible. From there, we continued forward towards Grand Portage State Park, the location of our last stop. The Canada border is basically right across the water there, and we are heading out on our last hike, which goes to High Falls in Grand Portage State Park. Like most of the trails on the North Shore Drive, this is pretty easy at about 1 mile round trip and only about 65 feet of elevation gain. It's definitely bittersweet to be ending our time in this beautiful section of Minnesota. This is one of those drives I've wanted to do for a long time, and it definitely lived up to expectations. Right before the boardwalk portion of the trail, there is a bathroom, and this trail does seem like it's wheelchair accessible the entire time. Only one of the overlooks is wheelchair accessible, as there's stairs on the other one. It was too loud to really hear us saying anything, but we were both blown away when we got our first views of High Falls.
That was pretty epic. The flow out of that is incredible. And how about a rainbow? Right there, baby.
I've been to many waterfalls over the years. It's one of my favorite things to try to find, and this was easily one of the best I've ever seen. After taking it in from the first viewpoint, we hiked down the stairs and walked the boardwalk to get a couple more views of the falls from further away. The top view is definitely the best, but it's cool to see it through the canyon as well.
I said, this is awesome, but no rainbow up here.
We're looking at this waterfall, and I got Pops complaining about rainbows, you know?
You know, now I want rainbows in all my waterfalls. What the heck?
This waterfall and many other rapids and waterfalls after it is why this area is known as Grand Portage. You couldn't take anything on the water here, so you had to do a 9-mile trail to get around all the falls. Those other views were incredible, but I think I have to go up one more time to see the rainbow with the falls before we leave. We decided to spend another 20 minutes here just getting soaked by the mist that was coming up from the falls, as it was just too hard to beat this incredible view. Wow, that was so cool. Such an exclamation point on an already incredible trip. As we're hiking back, that is the end of our North Shore road trip. I loved this area. Getting to see so many different waterfalls, all of them so powerful from the recent rain, plus the lake right next to us. This was an incredible few days. What'd you think, Pops?
Yeah, Lake Superior is gorgeous, you know, and it was interesting. The weather, the one day was not so great, cold and windy, and then the weather today is absolutely gorgeous. But I kind of like that because we got to see the lake in different ways. So you could look at that as a downside, but I kind of like that variety we got to see.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice to have no people on the trails and stuff yesterday as well. But we're heading into Canada now, so that's it for this one. We'll see you on the next one.